Hello and welcome back for season 2 of the Grid and Grind podcast. My name is Justin. If you've watched our channel, you've seen me on here a ton. I do a lot of learn to drive videos for iRacing. 13 years on iRacing, 7,500 iRating on the oval side, top 100 driver. I've been kind of going on a little bit of a side track lately, which is why Tank is here. But my daughter Sydney has started to kind of race a little bit on the road course side, and I've started to take a big interest in it. So earlier this month, Jacob, who you guys have seen on previous episodes of the podcast, and we ran the Bathurst 12 hours. We actually won it on iRacing, and then I'd say probably a week before that is when I met Tank, who you see opposite me. If you're watching on YouTube, those of you on Spotify, you have to check out the YouTube page to see Tank's beautiful face. But we met probably about a week before that, and we've kind of been hammering things out. And Tank is a Porsche Sprint Challenge driver. He's from the Pacific Northwest. We kind of have bonded over some weird commonalities. So his birthday is the same day as mine, just 4 years apart. Um, both have a parent that's passed away from cancer, which I think has been a really big bonding thing that neither of us really realized it was going to draw us together as much as it has. But I've been trying to help him out a little bit on a sponsor hunt here for 2026, and hopefully you'll be able to see me on track with him a little bit. So, Tank, let's send it over to you, and you can kind of tell everybody who you are.
You race Porsche Sprint Challenge for 2026. I'm from the Pacific Northwest. I've been racing Porsches since early 2000s. The joke was I was taken home in a Porsche when I was born. So, and that passion comes from my father, Greg, who is, the Porsche Club of America president in his region. And yeah, it's been just a nice journey. And what can you say? I mean, what an amazing brand, Porsche. And to be able to do the things I've had and the opportunities I've been able to do with Porsche has been an awesome experience. And definitely, you know, meeting Justin was pretty amazing, and how we met, and it was just hilarious how we met.
Yeah, it was definitely meant to be. Tank, when did you originally start racing?
I started racing in 2001, 2002.
Okay. And then
So
you ran for a while, and then when did you quit?
I pretty much stopped in 2021. Yeah, 2021 I stopped. My mom found out she got cancer again, and it was something that she could not handle and do again, meaning watching me race, going to the races, and then um being there to, and that was one of her passion, was to go watch the race.
Yeah, I know that full well. I mean, the last 2 years of my dad's life is when I started racing. So 2023, I think I only ended up getting to the track maybe 2 or 3 times because I was taking care of my dad too. And so it was really difficult to take 8 hours to go to the track. And if dad needed something or someone or, whatever that might be, I kind of had to be there for him. And then as dad got worse, it got even harder. And then after dad
Mhm.
passed away in 2023, 2024, I was able to make pretty much the whole season. We completely rebuilt my car, so it was kind of difficult. But every lap that I was on track, I just remember and I always kind of thought of dad and what dad would have thought when I'm at the track. So it'll be really interesting for me this year. I mean, you got back on a little bit last year, right?
Yes, I did. So I got back a little bit last year, in August of 2025. you know my dad and I were trying to figure out what to do next. And one thing my mom loved was the racing side, and my dad loved it too as well. And he used to race, so we kind of like, let's go back at it again, and this time we're going to do it with a purpose, something meaningful. And that's how Race with Us Knowing Fights Cancer Alone started. And I said, and I spoke to my dad. I said, if we're going to do this, we have to do this for a purpose and meaning, something that's going to help. And he's like, yeah, I like that. I think that's definitely a good way to honor your mom. And I think we should definitely go for it. And, we decided, you know, what series made sense? Was it club racing? Was it, what car? We had so many. We were even thinking about racing BMWs at one point. And, my dad made one of his sacrifices and said, you know what, I'll make the sacrifice and let's get you into a Porsche Carrera Cup car. And we decided that journey in August, like I said, in 2025. And then we, went and looked, and it was kind of a struggling time too as well for looking, because one, the season had not ended yet.
Yep.
The season was still going, so not a lot of cup cars were being sold or for sale at the time. So we started that journey and started looking, and then in order for me to get back on track, we decided, let's get a spec Boxster, because it's a great tool. And it was just the perfect timing. There was a spec Boxster that became for sale, and we drove to Los Angeles and picked it up. And a week later, we ran it in a 8-hour enduro at PIR and won first in class, or I'm sorry, first or second overall and first in class. And um, in I said, yep, this is a good start to something meaningful. And it just gave us the reassurance that we were looking for, that, hey, this is the reason why we decided to go racing. And and then after that we did another endurance race. It was a 14-hour enduro with Lucky Dog. Unfortunately, you know, it wasn't as a good successful race, but what I've learned from it is definitely the perseverance, the what it takes, and preparation is definitely important. Um and the best part about that race, I don't see it as a bad race. It was we finished it. That was
Right.
the important part. We finished the race. We didn't quit. We didn't give up. Um, you know, we had some mishaps. We worked through it. We got it done, and we got where we needed. And it wasn't a win, but I'll take the what do you call it? The
The moral victory.
experience from
Yeah.
that.
Well,
Yeah,
and I
and
mean,
go from there.
anybody that's raced in real life, I mean, even if you've raced on the sim, right? You have all these
Mhm.
expectations of how the race is going to look for you. And you put in a ton of time on the sim, you're putting in time, practice laps on the track, working with your teammates, working on setups, all that kind of stuff. When you're racing in real life, you're putting in the time in the shop, making sure the brake fluids are topped off, replacing rotors, checking the car over, even if it's a spec Boxster, there's still a ton of work that goes on that,
Oh yeah.
when you get to the track, it's like, oh crap, we broke. And then you're out. And whether the race is going first place the whole time or you're 42nd, 14 laps down, like the goal is always just finish it out and see where it may land. And,
Mhm.
sometimes those races are better, in my opinion, than a race that you win, especially if you're doing it with cool people and you have fun with it. So,
Yeah, definitely. That was another thing. If I had to go back to it, I think nothing against the people that I race with. At the end of the day, error mistakes were done. Not one thing I did also learn from that is be confident in the people that you're going to choose next time, and also make sure it's the right fit for the team. And that's why now I'm not rushing to get back to Lucky Dog at the moment, because Right now, it's finding the right team members and the right drivers, and that's very important because if the chemistry is not there and if there's no alignment, then you know, again, it's just it's how the cookie crumbles, I guess.
Right, and there's what I think like 10 Lucky Dog races this year when I was looking at the schedule,
Yeah.
something like that. And I mean, if you're spending 14 hours on a weekend with 4 or 5 guys, like you want to have fun. You want to be with cool people. You don't want to be, oh, I got to go back to these guys again. So, um,
Mhm.
let's kind of talk about the club level racing, right, versus like a Porsche Sprint Challenge. So club level, there's a lot of people that would see that and they would be like, "Oh, well, it's just club level. Like it doesn't really matter. You guys are just having fun. It's a 1998 Porsche Spec Boxster. Like the costs involved in that on a weekend." And that's something that we've kind of talked about. You've got beyond just entry fees, um, we've talked, you and I have talked at least about fuel for the weekend, tires, brakes. You got your little mascot there. You got to have boarding for the weekend to keep him happy. Um, what do you see kind of in those for the weekend in terms of costs at the club level, like a Lucky Dog weekend?
A lucky dog weekend. I mean, it depends. Now, if you want the full experience, bringing out the rig, bringing out the box with the, getting the live stream on. Pretty much, it's the pro setup on a lucky dog
Right,
weekend. You know, it around $26,000. Just paying the crew members night and time during those 3 or 4 days of racing. Um, bringing out the big rig, for such a for a club event can it's interesting, I mean, most people would probably say it's overkill, but that's what it takes to win. Can you do it with a smaller setup? Yeah, but at the end of the day, you always want to have that competitive edge and
right,
whatever it may be. And one of the things that is a hurdle that you'll have to overcome, especially if you're doing it with that magnitude, is, you know, getting people to understand the cost of these things,
yeah,
you know, because a lot of these club racers, when they found out how much I'm charging for a weekend like that, it's you're not lifting a finger. The only thing you're doing is hopping in a car. There's going to be food. There's going to be, you know, literally, it's just an arrive and drive program on a pro team. You don't have to do any thinking. The only thinking you have to do is just make sure you don't crash the car. You're doing what you was on the game plan, and that's it.
right.
And easiest, and you're enjoying that. When you do it without the pro stuff, the pro equipment, it's definitely challenging because now, besides the driving, you have an assignment to do. You have,
Right.
oh, one person's going to hold the fire bottle, the other person is going to jack up the car, the other person's going to put gas in the car. The nice thing about Lucky Dog is you don't have to replace a tire setup during the race unless there's a puncture or
Right.
unless damage. Um, and that was another thing that very much impressed me with Lucky Dog series is their tire component that they use, the
Yep.
brand. The hand cooked are very amazing tires. I was very surprised. Let's just say that coming from a guy that's used to having the best of the best tires, and it's definitely a slower tire than what I'm used to. I mean, pretty much it's a street tire at the end of the day.
Yep.
But it literally handles the whole 2 days, the 14 hours. You know, we usually put the fresh set on before the race, and you're good to go, and
So
you'll
you're
probably
you're saying I could bring my Chevy 2500, my 2013 Chevy 2500, and my 24-foot trailer,
be
and we could win a lucky dog race, is what you're telling me.
yes, with the right driver lineup, of course, and the right strategy involved into this. Now, the
Okay.
nice thing about the spec Boxster, we've already overcome and the labor pains of what it takes, like the pit strategies.
Right.
I can tell. Well, it's pretty much at the Thunderhill at the 5 mile course, we were hitting in every hour and 15 minutes,
That's a nice
which is
stint.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you doing a driver
and
swap then every hour and 15 minutes, or do you kind of double stint?
yes, yes. We if it was me just running it with, you know, if I'm not charging people, then yeah, I can do the double stint. But if I'm definitely, charging other people, I will definitely give up my time. I'll definitely do, like, I think that race I only did an hour and 30 minutes. I
Okay.
gave more time to the paying drivers to give them that at least. And, the nice thing about that race, and it's so hard to get people to understand, well, why am I going to pay that much when I can run my race weekend? But the problem is when you run your race weekend, it's broken.
Right.
And then you have, um, what do you call it? Different groups. Like you have your red group, you have your blue group, you have your red, orange, blue, like whatever, right? Or your fast intermediate. This one is you're literally in the car for almost 2 hours. You're just literally just that's one day, and then the
Right.
next day you get your 2 hours. So I mean, that's if you I calculated it. If you did a weekend, you usually do what 4 stints a day, 20 minute, 25 minutes. So technically you get a little bit more, but at least you're able to no worries. Um you're looking at probably, know, 10, 15 minutes less of track time, but at least you're able to be consistent throughout that session, like that, whatever your stint is. For example, like a minute and 15 minutes, right? Your stint is, it's just you and the track. You're not pitting in because there's a break or it's a short 30-minute race. You know what I mean? So, one thing that got me up to speed from my absence in racing was Lucky Dog. It really helped. The endurance stuff really helped me get up to speed in racing. And when we tested the Cup car in January, it was like hopping in a race car. Like I got was comfortable. It was my first time being in the Cup car for the season and being in a Cup car in a really long time. So it was definitely, let's just say it was a lot easier to adapt than the spec Boxster. I mean, when I'm in the Cup car, it's just smooth, like paddle shifters. Um, Literally, you're in your zone pretty much. You're
Right.
just driving and like you're not downshifting like it's like a H pattern gearbox. You're just literally it's let's just say I love the new cars, the newer and some of the enthusiasts, some of the, save the manuals, they're gonna, you know, talk what they're gonna say, but at the end of the day, I mean, that's why it's in Carrera Cup. That's why it's in these pro level racing because, it just makes it a little easier and enjoyable. And I enjoyed it a lot. And, I'm looking forward to starting the season this year and, excited for that.
Right. So club level racing, 25,000 a weekend for,
Mhm.
not each individual driver's not paying that. It's divided out
Yeah.
basically when you're
Yeah.
doing an arrive and drive. But then let's talk about Carrera Cup costs. So we've talked about this, like, people hear 25,000 for club level racing, they're like, oh my God, that's so much money. But you guys pretty much spend that on tires in a Career Cup weekend, right?
Yeah, that's what we
That's your
spend
tire
on a
budget.
weekend.
That's your tire budget. That's insane to me. Like,
Like,
what is it? Four sets of tires,
yeah,
I think you told me?
yeah, it's 4 sets of tires for the weekend. That's literally the test day, and then you got your practice qualifying, and then race on Saturday, and then race on Sunday.
Okay.
So you can technically do it with three, but at the end of the day, you kind of want to make sure if
You
you
got a
want to
spare set.
compete, yeah, you always want it fresh stickies, um, so you can have the best advantage, and that separates you from podium to not a podium.
Right. And Career Cup races, how long are those races?
They're about 35, depends. If I remember correctly, we did last one was 35 minutes.
Okay, 35 minutes. 35, let's just say 35 to 45 minutes, and you're spending
Yeah.
25 grand on tires. Or you can go run at the club level and you can
Mm.
run the entire weekend for that cost. So why Porsche Cup? Like what draws you to that? Is it the car? Is it, I know we kind of touch really lightly on your reasoning for coming back, and that's the No One Races Alone Foundation stuff that you want to do.
Mm.
I mean, is that kind of the reason why Carrera Cup works for you, or what's the draw there?
For me, it was, like I said, we talked about it with my father and we were trying to decide what we were going to do. I flirted with a little bit of doing, I know it's not serious enough racing or whatever it is, what's that group called? Shoot, I'm drawing a blank for some reason right now. They get airtime as well.
WRL?
It's no, it's not WRL. It's shoot. Wow, I'm drawing a blank. I'm so bad right now. What is the name of that series? They have festivals.
Grid Life?
Grid Life, yes. So they have a series, you know, besides the time attack stuff they actually have I think it's like a 25-minute, 30-minute race.
Yep.
And that was what I was thinking of doing just to get my feet wet and just to get started. And yeah, my father was like, if we're gonna do this, let's just do this correctly. Let's go into, what is it? What series would you want to race in at the end of the day? So yeah, Carrera Cup. That's been always the dream. I mean, ever since I saw it with the 964 Super Cup overseas at Monte Carlo, that's why I wanted to do it. It was such a cool watching those races back then, and and just seeing them just around track and just imagining just me being in that moment. And I was just like, that's the goal, that's the dream, um to run in Super Cup at some point. And but that's like later down the line when I'm much older. I definitely have a couple dreams of racing in IMSA, SRO, some races I want to definitely tackle.
You're on a 5-year plan for 24 hours.
Yeah,
That's
the
what you
Rolex
told
24.
Sydney. You told Sydney 5 years. She's got to be ready.
Yeah, she definitely needs to get ready. And who knows, it might be even sooner depending on what
No,
you and I can work
no,
on. Yeah,
no.
and the sponsorship and how everything works out. Like I said, it's just
You haven't seen her race
one
on
thing.
track.
I mean, from what I'm seeing on Sim, and I know I'm gonna get that whole Sim is not real. Sim is, the haters of Sim.
You were a
But
big
from what
hater of
she's
Sim 3 weeks ago, and I've really kind
Yes, I
of
was.
turned you around.
Yeah. I definitely would love to use it as a tool at some point. I'm
Right.
very old school. you know,
You're old. I
I'm
mean, I don't know about school,
yeah,
but you're old.
yeah. I love watching in-car videos of a certain race, a certain driver, um, a certain car, and I learn from it. And I've been so used to doing things that way that I feel comfortable doing that. You know, I get to use the sim sometimes when I have the opportunity. And it's been definitely I don't know, maybe it's because I've been in the wrong sim equipment. You know, I've gotten to the one that I really love right now, and I wish I was back in LA, is Porsche Experience Center in LA. Their sim is very, very impressive. You know, when Long Beach Grand Prix
Yep.
is on, a lot of the drivers go to Pecla and they use their sim. And the nice thing about it is, this was probably when, like 2019, maybe 2018. I Long Beach was in town, and I went over to the Porsche Experience Center, and I made a connection with one of the guys there who handles the sim stuff. And he was like, "Yeah, you just missed it. A couple of the pro drivers were here, you know, challenging each other, and this is the lap times that they were doing." And I
Yeah.
said, "All right, let's see, how do I compare to that?" And I was only 3 seconds off. Never raced on Long Beach
That's
Grand
not
Prix.
terrible.
Um, I've only seen it. Um, you know, first time driving a cup car, and it was actually my first time driving a sim.
Yeah,
So
that's pretty good. I mean, it definitely, as a sim driver who has gone sim to real and now back to sim, primarily, it's a different feel. Like you, when you're in the real car, everything is the seat of your pants, and when you're in the sim, everything is eyes and hands. You feel everything
mhm,
through your hands, through the steering wheel. You see everything with your eyes. It becomes a visual thing. And I think that, and from what I've been told, it's way easier to go sim to real life than what it is to go real life to sim. And that's where people struggle is the real drivers who try and go to sim because they're like, I can't feel the grip level. I don't know when the car is on the edge. I don't, like, you have to
yeah,
relearn how the car is moving. But when you go from sim to real, you still have that steering wheel feel to where, oh crap, it's doing this to me, and then you just automatically make that adjustment. And I think that's the big thing with sim that a lot of people see is they get up to speed a lot quicker, at least from what I've seen. And when you're looking at the business of racing, like okay, so let's get back here, kind of focusing, right? The business of racing. 25 grand in tires for a 35-minute race. I know you got a ton of racing stuff behind you, but you don't look like you're in like a big, huge 7,000 square foot, $10 million mansion. Like how do you afford to do all of this stuff? Like what's that business model look like?
well, you know, I've been fortunate enough. I don't have to look at the finances of this, thank God. My father who manages the finances, and it's not him paying for everything.
It's just a little
You know,
daddy's money. Don't worry about it. We won't knock you
I've
for it.
yeah. I do have a business that also helps with this, and it's definitely been challenging. It's definitely had to the sacrifices that I've had to make to get here, and it's been challenging, but we're doing it. We're making it happen, and most important right now is you know the challenge really is the sponsorship and getting the sponsors to align and to see. And that's something you and I have been going through. And the nice thing about
Absolutely.
it is we're definitely making the right connections. We're making the right moves to help us get there. And We have several companies, several foundations that we're currently working on brand partnership. It's been such a great experience because it's helped me understand this side of the business as opposed to back then. My father would stroke a check for it and say, here, this is what it's cost. This is, but he's investing in my future, right? I didn't go to a college. I went to racing schools because at the end of the day, I just couldn't sit in a classroom and my mind would just wander. So I said, you know what? Think of it as like this. I spent this much for your sister's tuition.
Right.
Your tuition, you know, is Skip Barber, Jim Russell, pro Porsche driver coaching.
It's
Um,
fair.
and yeah, and it's still actually less than the tuition for a college,
So all
especially
of
a private.
you, yeah, all of you 16, 17, and 18-year-olds that are looking to get into racing, that's the line that you need to tell your parents, right? Is if I go to college, it's going to cost $200,000, or you can send me to Skip Barber for, a couple weekends out of the year and I can go racing. So
Yeah,
use that line. See how well that works for you. Let us know in the comments how well that went over for you. But
exactly, right?
right, and I mean some of the things though, like that we've kind of learned, right? And that I mean we everybody knows, you hear it. If you listen to anyone talk about sponsorship, you hear it, right? It doesn't matter if you're out there winning every weekend. It doesn't matter if you're the fastest driver in the field. You don't have to be the absolute best to get sponsors. Uh, sponsors today, they like everything. They want to feel special, right? They want to know what you can provide for them. They want that ROI. The days
Mhm.
of just sending out mass emails to people and hoping that somebody responds, they're really gone. They just get
Oh yeah.
they get filtered out into spam, and that's something like we've talked about too, is timing the ask and going to a sponsor, and you can't just DM them on social media and be like, "Hey, give me $50,000 for the season. I race Porsche Sprint Challenge," and they'll be like, "Okay, yep, we'll give you $50,000, no problem. Here you go, sir." You know, it's a long game where you really have to build that relationship with them. Like you have to educate. In a lot of cases, it's educating them with what Porsche Sprint Challenge is. That it's a Porsche factory back series, um,
Yeah.
that gets you access to the Porsche paddock. It gets you access to, all of those types of things. The Porsche buyer, it helps you if you're a dealership and you're sponsoring a car, it gets you a GT allocation. Like there's a ton of stuff that goes in with that. And it's just that education process, that I think is really interesting. But then even beyond that, right, it's being able to tell a story. And I think when we first started talking, that was one of the big things that you're like, my mom passed away 2024, 11-year battle with sarcoma cancer. And I'm like, why aren't we leading with that story? You know, why aren't we telling that story and building your foundation around that? And I feel like in the last few weeks since we've pivoted to that, everybody has a story, everybody has a trouble, whether it's a mom dying of sarcoma, a dad dying of multiple myeloma, a mom dying of a massive heart attack, whatever that might be. Everybody has a story that makes them unique. And I think,
Yes.
I know too, like Sydney she's 13, she's just starting to get into racing. And it's being comfortable for her, I think, being comfortable being a girl and being in racing. Um, and that's something, Sally Mott, MX5 driver, she's going late model stock racing this year. Sally's been kind of a mentor for Sydney, and she just tells Sydney, like, find the things that you like and go for them. Find the things that make you passionate. And when I heard you talking about your story with your mom and, taking care of your dad now and kind of being there for him, like, that's the type of stuff, that authentic story that I think really can separate a driver and take them from that club weekend of $20,000 club weekend to being able to afford that $25,000 tire bill. You know,
some of the,
yep,
it's, you know, I didn't want it to be, oh, I want people to feel sorry for me or, and you made a point when we were talking that no, that's your story. That's what happened. You should be proud of it. That's what you should be saying, telling the world your story. And now I'm more comfortable with it. I'm very, and what it led to is I never thought I'd be creating a foundation, Race with Us, No One Fights Cancer Alone Foundation. And it was definitely eye-opening, and what better way to help support the cancer survivors, the fighters, the families, that what they go through. And you know and that was my promise, that if I'm going to do it, it has to have a meaning, a purpose, and I want to be able to give back, whatever that may be, in and cancer research, helping cancer fighters. And you and I talked about some good ideas that we're going to launch about, one thing that I do, that we came up with is like some of the things, some of the products that my mom enjoyed, you know, her time, because when you're going through like chemo and you're like, that was one thing about her. She hated the fact that she lost her taste. Like everything tastes so weird. Like it doesn't taste the same, the food,
yeah.
and then
My
her
dad
appetite.
struggled with that too. Is like one day something would taste great, and then the next time, like I'd make it, and he would feel bad because it just didn't taste good. And he felt like we were wasting stuff. And I'm like, well, if it doesn't taste good, like let's not eat it. You got enough stuff to worry about, Dad. We don't have to worry about that. And so
Yeah.
it's like finding those things that and then anticipating what they might want, right? Like on those chemo nights where they just feel like absolute trash, and
Oh yeah.
being there and having just that one thing that makes them feel better. For my dad, for a while,
Oh
it
yeah.
was like the Werther's butterscotch candies.
Yep. Yeah. Same.
So I still have like a bag of those that I keep in the cabinet, and like I could probably get rid of it, but it's like one of those things where, sorry, if I'm feeling bad or I'm missing dad, I can go have one of those and I
Yeah.
snap out of it.
Yeah. Definitely. I get where you're coming from, because my mom was. It's so funny. Those peels, little oranges.
Yeah.
She had like two or three of those in her bag every time. Like we would go somewhere, and I would be hungry or I wanted a snack. She'd be, "Oh, here, I got this for you," or "I have this for you," right? And I would just be, "All right, thanks. This actually, it tied me over to wherever we're going, so I can get a snack or something." But it was just those little moments
But in the
that's now
moment,
stuck
right?
with.
Yeah, in the moment,
Yeah,
you're rolling your eyes at it. You're like, "Oh, come on, mom. Like we can get something else." And now like you go to the grocery store and you see one of those and you're like, I can't buy one of those right now. Like I'm going to have a mental breakdown right here."
it took me a while, but yeah,
Yep.
but now I grab them. I love them. I mean, it's just I appreciate those moments,
Right.
and one thing I can say about it is it's, with this sponsorship hunt, the building these partnership brands. One thing I can say, and if you guys are out there listening, you know, just it's not about your social media following. It's not about, your how many followers I got, how many am I, it's there's more to that. There's
It's
more
being
to life
authentic.
than
It's
exactly.
it's being authentic on your pages. And like I tell this story to a lot of people, right? Sydney, I took Sydney to PRI this last December, and she had this amazing opportunity. We just happened to stop at, I think it was like Lorraine Valley Karting Complex, I think is what it is. It's in Ohio. But we were standing there, we were just kind of talking to him, and this girl came up, and she was a couple years younger than Sydney, and she's like, "Hey, by the way, are you going to this girl's lunch?" And we're like, "We don't know anything about this." And so the girl took Sydney with her to the lunch, and it really kind of changed Sydney's outlook on everything. You know, you don't have to worry about being the fastest driver. You don't have to worry about being the richest driver. As long as you're personable and you're authentic on your social media, you can gain that following in today's world. So we got back, we're driving home from PRI in a snowstorm, left a day early to beat it out of Indy, right? And Sydney and I are driving home, and she's like, I need to come up with content that I can post on social media. And we tried doing like racing videos and clipping stuff and, just stuff that it was a fight to get her to do it. And it was at Christmas, and she was talking to her cousins, and they're like, "Hey, do you remember this old TikTok account that you used to have where you would do these get ready with me's and you just kind of talk about what's going on in your life?" And her cousins are like, "We really, really miss it. It was a great way to stay in touch with you." So she started posting on it again. And before I knew it, like we would get ready to go to school, and the question wasn't, "Did you post?" It was, "Hey, Dad, new videos up. Hey, Dad, new videos up." And at first, like, it really irritated me because I'm like, I need you to be posting racing content. I need you to be posting racing content. And then I kind of thought about it a little bit, and I'm like, this is her authentic content. This is what she wants to post, and we're gonna run with it. And she's been fortunate enough because of it. She's a Bubble skincare ambassador. So there should be a link if you're watching on YouTube in the description. Buy some Bubble skincare from Sydney. Help us get back on track. It's a huge help. But she's just able to do really cool things that not a lot of 13-year-old girls can do. And that's something too, like, I've kind of talked to you a little bit. Hopefully towards the end of this season, we'll be able to get the Spec Boxster out. She'll be 14, so she'll be legal to run Lucky Dog. Um, and we can hopefully help some of the local Porsche dealerships out by you buy some sell some parts with
Yeah,
the Spec Boxster. So
yeah, I
um,
can't wait for that moment because
yeah.
the whooping that she's given on sim racing to some of these drivers. I mean, not gonna say names, but they do run in Carrera Cup,
Well,
and
and
they are female drivers.
right, and just even us joining. So Sydney is part of Shift Up Now. It's a foundation put on by Pippa Mann. Basically, it helps female drivers find sponsorship, help them with like business coaching, life after racing, all that kind of stuff. Um, but they have a foundation, and if you donate $100 to it, you can be part of their sim stuff that they do. So they do a spring, a winter, and a fall, I think, series. It's a 4 race series. And Sydney, she's got gymnastics Tuesday nights, and I told her about they race on Tuesday nights, and she said, "Well, I'm just going to skip gymnastics then." And she's been doing really, really well. First race was at, where was her first race? Second race was Bathurst, which, I mean, that's an incredibly difficult place. Third race
Oh yeah,
was at Nürburgring, which is even more insane. Um,
oh yeah.
and she's just doing really well, and she's having fun with it. She's got another race coming up next week at Mosport, Fake Canada, on iRacing. So that'll be fun in a GT4 car. But she's running Porsches. She's having fun. Um, and we're just kind of taking it and running with it, and really, really
I can't
trying
wait to have
to.
them, man.
Yeah, well, you say that now, but last year go-karting, I think out of her first 4 weekends, I think we went through 2 steering shafts, 3 spindles, 4 tie rods, and about 4 gears that got sheared off for some reason or another. So we went through a lot starting out, but that was her first time in a car, and part of that was on me. Was let's just see what happens. Let's have fun. And
Exactly.
we definitely hit the struggle. So, but we didn't have sim stuff for go karts like we do for Porsches for big cars, which I think will be a big help for her.
Well, definitely. And then the nice thing about, you know, I used to be anti-spec racing, anti-spec Boxster, and I just being it in endurance. If you can make that car fast, you can definitely make a cup car fly. So that's one thing I keep saying, and it's definitely helped me a lot and
Right.
just shake that rust. And I'm so confident that Sydney's going to do very well. Just like you, you're going to do very
Yeah,
well
yeah,
too.
we'll see, we'll see. Um,
And I can't wait for that to happen. And that's something I'm definitely looking forward to. And like I said, it's about building the right driver lineup. It's about building that, and once you have that, that's just the success of a winning formula right there. And it's like
right.
team sports, basketball, football, stuff that I used to play back in the day, and um, that's very important. That's what wins games, and that's what wins races.
Hank, who's joining us over your shoulder?
This is Bruce. Say hi,
That's the
Bruce.
that's the real boss. It's the boss of the house. Is it dinner?
Yeah, he.
It's getting close to dinner time, isn't it?
Yeah, 5 o'clock is dinner
Yeah,
time
it's
for these guys.
4:30. Yeah, he's letting you know it's getting close. But I mean, whether you're talking about aligning with the right people on track or the right partners off track, right? There's no perfect fit. And I think that's a really big thing too that kind of racers have to understand is like you want to try and find somebody or a partner, whether it's a race team, a race series. You talked about Carrera Cup and your love for that, the Spec Boxster, and how that fits within Carrera Cup, and helping you. I think finding the right sponsors or the right partners is a really big thing. So you go into it and you can't go to the partner and just say, I need help covering costs. I'm only going to give you a logo on the car. Just like if you're bringing in people to run in the Spec Boxster, you can't be like, look, I'm just going to give you 2 hours in the car for this weekend. That's all you're going to get out of this, right? When people come to you to run at the club level, they're getting, yeah, they're getting 2 hours in the car, but they're also getting,
Four.
we have four, yeah, 2 hours a day, yep, 4 hours in the car, but they're getting, to see the process and to see the professionalism and how you go about racing. And with partners, it's about being professional and understanding it from like a sales and marketing side of things. And I think that's where you really excel in having run your own business now, but having sold cars in the past and done different things. You understand kind of what they're looking for and how to tie that ROI in. So let's just kind of, I know we're kind of getting up close to an hour here. We're about 45 minutes in, but when you were first starting this sponsorship journey, what were kind of some things that you had as expectations of sponsors? What did you think was going to kind of go? Like, was it going to be kind of where we talked about before, give me $50,000 and I'm racing Porsche Sprint Challenge? And they'd be like, absolutely, it's a national level. Or kind of
Mhm.
what kind of things have you?
Well, I'll give you the first experience I had.
Okay.
It wasn't great, by the way. I hired on two people. One person was good. She was oh, we had what do you call it? We've done stuff in the past. We were able to do stuff in the past, and she was a great person. And this is up her wheel alley because she also does. She manages talent for influencers, right?
Hmm.
The other guy was apparently a big time, you know, race car crew chief, knows a lot of people, and end up finding out it wasn't the right fit at the end of the day. And that's why this journey is kind of pushed onto the beginning of the year when when you're supposed to be technically attacking it September, October, which we were doing, it was just with the wrong lineup. And so, my thing with sponsorship is, oh, I'm the driver. Let me just focus on the driving portion of this. I'm going to focus on the
Yeah,
tracks I'm going to be racing at. That's how I saw it as, and I just said, here, I have these two guys. Let them do what they do best.
right.
And what happened? It was pretty much a pie in the face at that point. And in January, we had to pretty much regroup, and I had to get involved in the business aspect of motorsports, racing, whatever you want to call it. And it was definitely a challenge. And it got me doing things that I never thought I would ever do in my life.
Yeah,
LinkedIn was one of the
I think that's really important though for racers, right? Whether you're racing at the club level, whether you're racing at the go-kart level, if you're looking to take it to the next level, you have to be involved in day-to-day sponsor searching. You are, if you're in marketing and you're marketing a product, right? You are the product. And nobody knows you better than you know you. And nobody's going to market you better than you will market you. And I think that's one of the things that I learned really early on too was I have to be involved. I have to know what the deliverables are, what I need to do on a weekend, and have people around me that I trust. And having that good fit around you, like it all just kind of ties together, right? When you first started out, I mean, has it been a harder journey now that you're involved in like the day-to-day business aspect of it? Do you feel like it's been harder for you, or kind of what are your thoughts on that?
I guess it gets harder in different points of the process. Gathering the information, knowing the information, that's easy now. That's so much more. And thanks to you, you've definitely helped a lot with this. And I mean, you're like literally an army Swiss knife, bro. Like when every time I have an issue or I'm like trying to find a contact person for someone, I'll tell you, I'm literally not even 2 seconds. Oh, here, this is who you should contact. This is like, and it's been such a blessing to having you and just how well we relate. And then, now the hard stuff for me right now is getting on these Zoom calls, being used to being in a camera, and talking about it. And yeah, I'll admit, and you were here like today, this morning, like we were talking about, I was nervous. Like it's like, you know, I I I have to make sure this presentation is perfect. We have the information, we have the infrastructure. It's, I guess, me talking to CEOs of companies or talking to, the marketing director or marketing manager. It's something that I'm definitely working on and getting better with. And it's all it is repetition, practice, just doing it, and you just again eventually get better and comfortable with it. And yeah, that's the next challenge that I feel like I need to work on and get better. And one thing I've learned is be like a sponge and absorb and be willing to learn is such a great attribute. And just being knowing that, it definitely will help you get to the next step. Because back in the day when I was in the car selling phase, I was Mr. Know-it-all, very LA. And yeah, it just, one of my bosses that I worked with at that time really helped me. And now it's made me into the person I am now. It's actually made me a better race car driver because, like I said, it's about being open to learning. And ask questions. Always ask questions, and it will help you get to the next level. And that's what I'm going through on the business aspect, is just learning it. Like I said, I never thought I'd be using LinkedIn the way I use LinkedIn now. I literally just started a LinkedIn account back in January, and now I'm up to 300 plus connections, learning the process, connecting with people, setting up calls. I actually use my LinkedIn more than I use the Instagram account, which I know I will get on that, and we are working on that. I'm just a very what do you say, antisocial, I guess. It's just, or I'm just, I'm not.
You have a small
I
circle.
feel like
You're not
yeah, a small circle, and then
antisocial.
also,
You just you're very guarded, I think is what I would say. And it takes a while to peel back your onion to start to get to those layers and to get to the inside of you. But I mean, in just the limited interactions I've had with your dad too, I 100% know where you get it. And if my
yep.
dad was around and you were able to talk to my dad, you would 100% know where I get my personality from. And,
Mhm.
for good, for bad, like it just kind of is what it is. But what's scarier for you? Now we were just on a couple sponsor calls this afternoon, but what's scarier for you? Hopping on that sponsor call or going through the carousel at Sonoma?
Definitely the sponsor
The
calls.
sponsor calls. That's what I
That's,
figured it was going to be.
I'll take the carousel at Sonoma. I'll take the corkscrew at Laguna. I'll take, it's, I can go on. And when it comes to the driving part, I'm very confident in what I can do.
Yep.
And
Like every race car
I,
driver.
mhm.
You
and
have to be. Yeah.
mhm. And yeah, the moment when you have doubts, that's the best time to just not step in that car. I don't care. I'm
Yes.
telling you now. I've seen it happen. I've unfortunately, know somebody that recently happened to him, and unfortunately, I wish him the best, and I hope a quick, fast, speedy recovery so he can get out there with us. And yeah, and I've always told them, the moment you have a doubt, that's going to be your downfall. It messes with you mentally.
Yes. Yeah. Racing is very much a mental sport where if your mind's not in it for that day, sometimes you're best served to just park the car and you know what? We're going to take today off and we'll see you guys tomorrow. But you also have to
Yeah.
know, and I mean, it's like that though in a sponsor meeting too, right? Like
Mhm.
when you're getting into a car, you have to flip your mind into race mode. And then when you're getting out of the car, you have to immediately flip it back off of race mode. But then when you're getting ready for these sponsorship meetings, it's like a completely different gear that you've got to jump in. And you've
Mhm.
got to be there and you've got to be present and you've got to be ready. You've got to know your numbers. You've got to know the budget cycle of the company that you're on, what's important to them, what are some of the marketing initiatives that they have going on right now. And that's I think, you talked a little bit about last fall starting the process and just having the wrong people. And now you're really behind the eight ball when it comes to looking for partners for this year. So, I mean, we talked about it a little bit where you're really just kind of picking up the scraps, like whatever's left over in their marketing budget for this year because they're budgeting in October and November. Um, So I think for racers that are looking to kind of take things to the next step, you cannot wait until January to start reaching out to these
Yes.
companies and getting on their calendar. I would make the argument that if you're waiting until October, it's really too late. You got to start getting on for 2027. I would
September.
say, yeah, at the latest. If you aren't scheduling meetings to talk about 2027 by mid-August, early September, it's too late, especially when you're looking at, Porsche Sprint Challenge or Porsche Sprint Cup budget. Like you got to be on it early. And that's
Yeah, yeah.
something for this next year we'll definitely have ready to go. And I mean, we had some really good conversations, and I think too, having been on those calls with you, the after the call, they're going back and they're having the same discussion that we're having. How do you think it went? Um, what's important for us to follow up? Well, let's wait and see what they come back with on, X, Y, and Z initiative or whatever it might be. And it's the same as when you're debriefing from a race, right? You get done with a race, you get with your coach, with your crew chief, your teammates, and you're talking to them about what went well in the race. What could we have done better? Do we need
Prefer
to
that environment a lot better.
Right. Do we need to, but just drawing on those similarities, right? Do we need to adjust the setup? Do we need to adjust your deck? Is there something in the deck that we need to adjust? Is our pitch correct? Is the timing right on the engine? There's all of those things where racing today isn't just about the car, the track. It's equally as important the stuff that you do off the track. And I think that's
Oh
over
yeah,
the next 6, 9 months, I think that's going to be what is most interesting for me to watch with you and to be a part of and to see that journey. And I think that's why, you talked to me a couple weeks ago about starting a podcast. I'm like, dude, I already have one. We just haven't done anything with it. And I really kind of looked inside and I'm like, well, what things could I do that nobody else is really talking about? And that's this business side of racing and how to set yourself up to go from, and it is 100% self-serving, right? I've got a 13-year-old daughter that I want to take from go-karts and eventually let her go as far as she can, whether it's in the racing world, whether it's in gymnastics, in who knows what she comes up with in a few years. But how do we take her there and how do I show her that path? And so I think documenting this journey is super beneficial, right? And being able for you to see like, hey, in March of 2026, can you believe that we were complaining about this? And now in March of 2027, all of that seems so easy now. Like the corkscrew is
it's
scarier
crazy.
than a board meeting. That's what I want to hear in a year from now is getting in the race car is scarier than getting in a board meeting or doing a public service announcement for my foundation or getting up and speaking in front of 10,000 people. That's where we got for you. That's what's in store. I think
Yeah, and
that's
I
going to
can't
be really
wait.
interesting. Yeah, I think that's going to be awesome. Um, we're working on getting a website up for you. If people want to get in touch with you right now, have them join the Team 53 Discord. Tank's in there. Link will be in the description. You can get there if you're interested in partnering with Tank for the year. Um, I always forget what your email address. It's tankracing.11@gmail.com. You can also do it, like I said, join the Team 53 Discord. You can interact with a real Porsche Sprint Cup driver, with a hack of a sim racer, and me. My daughter Sydney's in the Discord as well. So it's a really cool way to interact with people and to just kind of get things. You're still learning Discord, so this will be new for
Yep.
you. And it's going to make when you do get your sim rig a whole lot easier because we'll be able to be in Discord and I can make fun of you on the racetrack and then you can wreck me. And the nice part is it won't cost us any money, so we won't have to beg any new sponsors. We'll just be able to hit the restart button. Um,
That's the favorite part.
absolutely. So be on the lookout. Like I said, we're going to get a website up for Tank. We'll get all that stuff going so that you guys can interact with him. And I think, what do you think, Tank? Probably try and do this again next week?
Okay, I'm ready. I am enjoying this. It's, I've been watching a lot of podcasts and I've been wanting to do one, and, one thing a person told me is that your journey and your story is definitely, it needs to get out there, and it's just a matter of time, and eventually you'll meet the right person and that story will come out, and it'll be something beautiful because it's something that been a lifelong battle of racing cancer and outcome of it all after losing a parent.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm right here with you. This podcast stuff was something we literally started last fall, and it was kind of on a whim where I just kind of wanted to do it because I thought it'd be fun. And Jacob was like, "Yeah, absolutely, I'll hop on and do it with you." And then Ryan, who I don't think you've ever met Ryan, but Ryan works. He works for a GT4 team, I think it is right now. Um, Mustang Challenge. So he'll be there for some of the
That's nice.
USAC races. He's working for them, but he might be going and doing some other stuff here coming up, which I don't think I can talk about yet. But um, so we started the podcast. We just did a few episodes and we had fun with it. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I've been trying to get those guys to get back. So I'm really glad that you asked me about it and that we could get this done. And hopefully I didn't scare you off and you're going to want to come back and you're going to be ready to do it next week. And I mean, I can already tell from the smile on your face that you're ready. You enjoy it.
Oh yeah, it was actually okay. I'll be perfectly honest. At the very beginning, I was kind of nervous. I didn't know what I was. I didn't want to say the wrong thing. But after now doing what, an hour and 11 minutes, I'm like, I can do this.
It's
There's
not that
nothing wrong
hard.
with this.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a start to help me to get better on these business Zoom calls, and I can be a little bit more comfortable. And with me, it's just repetition, just me getting used to it, getting used to being behind a camera. Maybe this is that thing that just breaks the camel's back, and I'm all of a sudden this YouTube sensation or this
Yeah.
social media. But we're getting way too far ahead of
Yeah.
that,
I'm
right?
like, I don't know about that. No, but I
Because
mean, the thing that was interesting to me, right, was you talked about your approach to this. So immediately when you asked me about doing it, I was like, oh yeah, we already do one. Like it's not that big a deal. We can do it. But then the racer in you and the approach that you take to racing, watching film, visualizing, kind of going through all that, that's what you did to prep for this was you started listening to other podcasts. You're telling me like, man, I really like how this podcast is and this is the kind of the approach that I want to have for it. I'm like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. Like, don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. And I'm the sim racer where like sim racing you just hop in and you just do it, right? And so when we started this podcast, I just hopped in and it's going to be what it's going to be. So it's just really interesting to see your approach to whether it's sponsors, doing the research, doing the hard stuff, kind of watching the game film, if you will, and then kind of transitioning over and seeing it happen live. I think I always tell people this, and I told Ryan this, and I told Jacob this. I said the first show is always going to be the worst. The second show is going to be it'll be a little bit better, but it's still going to be bad. And then the third show will be worse than the first show. But then by about the fourth or fifth show, that's when you really start to like, all right, I know what we're doing here. We'll be fine. And then I'll get bored and we'll take 2 months off because we'll be busy and we'll have to get back and do this all over again. But no, it's fun. I hope you enjoy it. I hope that this is something that we can help share your story and little by little that onion can peel every week and people kind of start to see more of that personality and that intentional feeling and the tank that I've gotten to know kind of so far. So,
you
but
saying the most random stuff. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's how it is. That's how podcasts should be. But we can probably wrap this one up. We hope to see you guys again. Make sure you guys hit like, follow, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I say this in every video, but every single view, every single like, every single subscribe, it does a ton to help out. And yeah, it's not about
Does.
having the most number of views or the most number of subscribers, but when you're in these meetings, it really helps to be able to say, hey, we have 1,700 subscribers, which is insane to think about on my YouTube channel. We're at 1,700 subscribers. Just people wanting to learn how to play a video game. And now hopefully it'll be people wanting to see Tank's face every week on a podcast. We should be back on Spotify as well for those of you who have Spotify. I believe Apple Podcasts is still hooked up, so we'll have to see there. But we'll see you guys again next week.
Good.